Hello, my name's Philippa Waller.
My name is Penelope Waller, and we are two of the directors at 4D Human Being.
And welcome to the 4D Human Being podcast. What's it all about, Pen?
It's all about your personal and professional relationships. It's about your communication skills, how you lead, how you work and build teams, how you are looking after yourself and your well-being, and how you are much more at choice. What do we mean by that?
Well, sometimes we can get a little caught in patterns in life and we can all be a little bit on our automatic pilot. So 4D Human Being is all about helping us get back to choice and being a four-dimensional human being. And your fourth dimension, of course,
is intention. So whether it's about your impact, your leadership style, your team dynamics, whether it's about your well-being, whether it's about your communication or your presentation skills, anything that involves human beings interacting with other human beings, 4D Human Being are here to help.
we're going to take a deep dive and look at some tools, insights, theories that are going to help you go from a 3D human doing to a 4D human being so that you can happen to the world rather than the world simply happening to you. Happy New Year.
Happy New Year. I'm having a little snack.
You're having a little Rivita. There's a sort of a mixture in terms of goodly stuff and naughty stuff.
Well, this podcast is going to be called 4D Fizz.
Yeah.
And whilst this is not fizz,
Not quite. It is vino.
I have had a brilliant but long day today.
Yeah.
I've just got back. We are recording in the evening, which we don't usually do.
Indeed.
So I have treated myself to a little glass of wine.
Yeah, lovely. So we'll see where Pen is by the end of this podcast. I'm on the water. And not only on the water, but on the water from my new chili bottle.
Oh, yes.
From the gym I've just joined.
So a mini chili bottle.
A mini chili bottle from the gym I've just done. I finally joined a gym. I've got to do that muscle thing. Anyway, we'll talk about that in a minute. But Happy New Year.
Yeah.
And people are saying to me...
It's quite late to say that.
Yes.
But I'm still saying it.
We're still saying it because we've been away. Re-energising.
Yes, and
Yeah.
what's the cutoff?
Well...
I think we're there, aren't we?
Well, the thing is, I think because of January and maybe a bit of February being quite tough, I
You
think...
can keep going.
Well, I think we need some sort of, keep going. It's going to be a good one. Like, I think we need some sort of greeting that is keeping us buoyant because everyone I speak to is kind of like, it's a tough month.
I think you should invent a new February greeting that can go viral and become permanent.
Yes.
You don't really have one.
Yes, a sort of month 2.
Yes.
Yeah.
Not Happy New Year, but something along the veins of motivating.
Yeah, you're in it now. You're in the year.
You're doing good.
You're doing exactly. You're doing good. Yeah, get to the next post. So we are very much. I mean, we're always talking about energy at 4D.
Yeah,
bit obsessed with it. But it's weird because at the end of last year, thought right, we're going to talk about energy at the beginning of 2024, and we're really going to dig into it in 4 dimensions and putting some fizz, some 4D fizz into 2024. And then around Christmas Day, you and I fell off a cliff in terms of energy.
Oh my goodness.
Just completely dropped. And we were not alone.
No.
Lots of people got really ill and it knocked the bejesus out of us.
And when I knew that other people were getting ill because I knew who I got it from. And I thought...
No names mentioned.
No names mentioned. Although that's not true. There's a couple of people I could have got it from.
Yeah.
But when I sort of knew that they were ill and then thought, I can feel something coming, I thought, but I won't be like that. I'm going to be fine.
Yeah, you're going to kind of bounce back after a day.
I mean, this immune system is going to power me through.
Yeah.
And it absolutely took hold.
Yeah.
And it was absolutely horrible.
Yeah, it was pretty ghastly. I know people who had it worse. So in that way, I feel grateful. But we were very, very fortunate. So the betwixtmas was...
I don't know if everyone knows what the betwixtmas is.
The 25th, 26th to the 31st was... just nothing. I mean, it's usually, people often talk about it being a dead time. It was super dead time for me.
Well, it just had to be, but it wasn't planned like that. But what I would say about that period of time and how we felt is that is one of the occasions when people who have a tendency to really kind of body scan, self-care, stop, down tools, would have done quite well. My tendency is much more, no, come on.
Yeah.
You can't be feeling that bad. Keep pushing through. But There was absolutely no choice.
Yeah, there was no choice. So, and one of the things, again, we'll talk about is, and we've really thought about this, is over the last couple of weeks, is properly stopping around energy. So we were lucky enough to go away on holiday that basically brought us back to life. We happened to have booked a wellness retreat. So it was really, really pertinent that I thought about energy last year. We walked up like we shuffled up and they brought us back to life. But the fact that we were just thinking about energy generally, because going into a new year, we'll think about energy, but boy, has it become relevant for a lot of people. So, we're going to talk about it very broadly today because further podcasts are going to go into much more depth around the 4 dimensions: your physical energy, emotional energy, your intellectual energy, and your intentional energy, which of course is connected to your passions, your purpose, and your values. But one of the things that we'll talk about today is a kind of top line around thinking about energy in a slightly different way. And one of the things I kind of want to start even thinking about is that we talk about lifespan. And much more now we're talking about health span, because what's the quality of your life if you've got a long lifespan but a short health span? And this last kind of month or so has really, really made me reflect on energy span. And I think that needs to be a thing.
Definitely.
Because all of us need energy for everything. We need energy for the simple basics of life. Like, energy is everything. We are made of energy. The whole thing is energy. We need energy. And we'll talk about how we get energy and how we generate energy, and also how we are efficient with our energy. We need energy for absolutely everything. Yep. I mean, at 4D, we talk about it in terms of, the impact you make and the kind of contagion that you can have as a leader in teams, like that creative energy, idea sharing. But it goes right underneath.
Well, it's all we are.
It's all we are, into your well-being. And when you haven't got energy anymore, if you've got a short energy span, the quality of your experience physically, emotionally, intellectually, intentionally, and relationally. I mean, think about being in relationship with no energy.
Yeah.
The quality of your life in 4 dimensions and relationally, it absolutely plummets off a cliff.
It gets challenging. I mean, some people do, they do live with restricted energy, permanently in their lives. It's
tough.
You have to really, really manage it.
Yeah, it's tough.
You have to really be mindful of where you're going to use that energy that you have. And actually, I think that's a good exercise for all of us. Even when we're feeling very energized, it's really good to be mindful of how and where we're using our energy. But yes, that brief period of feeling that ill, you do realize how valuable that energy is.
And I think, on that, this is really easy to say. It's like when you've been unwell and you just go, if I can just have my health back, I'll never ask for anything again. But there is something about how can we really kind of bed in that touchstone of not taking our energy for granted. I mean, it's interesting because I've heard a lot of people talk recently about the most precious commodity that you have, the commodities that you have, is your time and attention. But you could kind of wrap those up into where you put your energy, basically, couldn't you? Yeah. And that's our most precious commodity, and is going to completely change the quality of your life and your relationships. Yeah. And where are you putting it? Where are you wasting it?
Where are you sourcing it?
And where are you sourcing it, which we will come on to. So when we think about sourcing energy, so what do we usually think about in terms of where we get our energy from?
I think usually we think about our nutrition, our sleep.
Yeah.
Probably think about, taking a holiday, using our annual leave, just making sure we have those moments of rest.
Yeah.
Maybe doing a bit of exercise.
Yeah.
Those are probably the things we tend to think about, which are valid.
Which is absolutely true. At the basic fundamental level, you take carbohydrates, lipids, I think, fats and protein into your body, and your mitochondria will convert them into adenosine triphosphate, ATP.
Here's the science.
Which is basically the source of your energy at a cellular level. So if you've got, for example, a kind of slow metabolism, like you've got an underactive thyroid or diabetes or hormonal disease, then you're going to be converting energy a lot less efficiently. And the other one that's going to get in the way of that is stress. Yeah. And what I find so interesting about this is that we're so, I've been one of those people, so hot on needing to eat more protein, doing my Zoe, getting my microbiome up, making sure I'm, reducing the sugar, like absolutely, I'm all over that diet and building more muscle, and particularly anywhere we should be doing it, but as you reach a certain age, etc., etc. Like, I have been
all over it.
When I say all over it, I have been like, it's been like I haven't had time to work.
It's practically a new profession.
It's practically a new profession. And then I get ill and it falls off a cliff. Yeah. So what I'm really curious about, of course, is, and yeah, that's an illness and, you know, et cetera, et cetera. But of course we get our energy from food sources and glucose or blood sugar. But when we get stressed, overwhelmed or burnt out, it doesn't matter how many, you know, sweet potato, lentil stews we eat. And I could have said donut then, but I chose really good carbs and sort of proteiny food. It doesn't matter how much of those we are exhausted. We've got no energy.
Well, the appetite went as well.
That was one of the
most terrifying things.
So what I find interesting about that is, yes, of course it's about food. At a fundamental biological level, we have to have nutrition, we have to have nutrients to have any energy. But what's interesting is when actually our way of being and our way of life and our overexertion, maybe our kind of crazy Western treadmill, which we really reflected on because we went to Thailand. Yeah. So we went into a very different culture. Which is so interesting. And just the pace and the attitude. And we're on this kind of crazy treadmill. Eating brilliantly now. We're all kind of, you know, analysing our blood sugar, eating really well.
Which is taking time, effort and energy.
Yeah, we're taking time, effort and energy. You've got no time to do anything else. Exactly. That becomes your sort of obsession to sort of increase your lifespan. But that's why I'm fascinated by energy span, because then I'm like, well, this is all very well trying to prolong.
But I'm knackered.
Exactly. But actually, there are times when it's not just about food. There's something else going on. It's something about either overexertion of energy, that maybe we're using too much physical energy, or we're kind of using that push energy. Maybe our emotional energy is draining us. Maybe relationships are. Maybe we're not connected to purpose. I'm going to use the word authentic, but in a way that we are connected to our own integrity. We're doing something that we care about with people that we care. When that goes, that is exhausting. And that's not about lentils and sweet potatoes.
Sure, is it? Sure. Well, there is this concept, isn't there, of flow, which I've really been thinking about. I've really been thinking about this recently in terms of
Mihaly Csikszentmihalyi.
Csikszentmihalyi, I think is his name. I think he might have passed away, actually. And it's a state of creativity, a state of doing, a state of being where you kind of lose all concept of time, really. And in terms of your energetic state and how you're feeling, those moments where the creativity flows, because it's like you're in the zone and things are flowing. And he talks about it in terms of that concept of, you know, it's less effortful in a way, because you're in the creative flow and you found the place where your brain, your mind and your body just wants to be. And I've really been thinking about that in terms of work and life and all the things that we do, that I know that state. I've experienced that state and it's very, very satisfying. Yeah. And I think we can find it more often if we are mindful of how we are approaching our work and what we choose to focus on and where we put our attention, all these kind of things. Most of us have probably experienced the state at some point. You know, it might be a moment playing a sport or perhaps running, or it might be a moment at work or with our kids or whatever it might be. It's where time you lose sense of time. You're just completely lost in a world, and it's very satisfying.
And there's something, as you say that
it feeds you.
And then it feeds you, that we can apply from everything to a conversation with a loved one, to idea generating with a team, to presenting, where we're not in that tense, stressed push, where we're present, we're connected, we can trust that we can sit back and listen, or we can trust that ideas will come. It's where our intellect is just kind of ready for us, because we're not either cramming it with stuff that we feel we should remember, or, you know, demanding of it. We're allowing, we're physically relaxed, we're emotionally, you know, in a better place.
There's a reason called this flow.
Yeah, and we can think about it in 4 dimensions, because all of those dimensions are then aligned.
Yeah.
Yeah, I love that.
A quick word from us at 4D Human Being. If you're enjoying the show, please do click follow so that you can have the 4D Human Being podcast instantly in your feed. And we'd love it if you liked and reviewed us. Let us know what you think. Please do think of 1 or 2 people that you could share the 4D Human Being podcast with. Somebody who would really benefit from the content you're listening to right now. Back to the show.
And for us at 4D, when we think about all of the work that we do, and my goodness, was I thinking this holiday, we do not just talk the talk, do we? We walk the walk. And I was really thinking, like, we're just about to really talk about resourcing energy at the deepest level. And we literally were there going, right, we're going right into the joints and the fascia.
Anything.
Yeah, we'll take anything right now.
We'll take any kind of treatment. We did some crazy things over there.
Oh, we did.
Nutrition. Anything to get the energy back.
Absolutely. We did Jala Neti, which is kind of Himalayan salt, clearing your nasal passages. We had oil poured on our heads. I mean,
we had dough on our back.
I was talking chakras by the end. I mean, we were just like,
we are going to experience anything and everything.
Yeah, we'll take anything now.
It's going to change the energy levels.
Exactly. And at 4D, people will often see, certainly when they first meet us, is us talking about energy in terms of how we show up in a space and the impact that we make. But we really, really want to think about it as that thread that runs through right from the core of you, from your at your cellular level, right through your body, into your gestures, into your facial expression, into your voice, and out there into the world and into relationship. Like, it's absolutely from the ground, it's the source to the communication.
Yeah, being really, really aware of it.
Yeah.
Being aware of what we'd call the debits and the credits, how you're sourcing and spending it.
Yeah.
Yes, it's not just about standing up and presenting, although that's very important for lots of us. It is absolutely. It's like the source of life, if you like.
It's your life source.
It is your life source.
Yeah.
And how much are we, firstly, aware of it, and how much are we managing it?
Exactly. Well, we were talking life source and, of course, chi.
Oh.
I mean, we
that does mean life force.
Yeah, it is. It's absolutely your energy flow. And our chi was low. The chi was off.
The chi fell off a cliff.
The chi fell off a cliff. So really thinking about it from a core fundamental level, that really this is not about that kind of energy masking where you're kind of, it's the equivalent of eating the donut or having a coffee or doing a quick run just to get enough that you can go and do that presentation or do that pitch. And it's a bit like kind of driving your car into the garage when it's, it's absolutely drained, and giving it a sort of thimbleful and going, now get me the next 100 miles. And it's going, I haven't got enough.
Running on empty.
I'm running on empty. You haven't filled my oil up, and don't even talk about tyres because we had a blowout the other night. You haven't checked the pressure on my tyres. It's too much to ask of ourselves. And so the other thing we talked about, of course, on holiday was that
putting yourself into dry dock.
That sometimes no amount of lentil stew is going to cut it. No amount of a few more, adductor exercises at the gym, a lateral pull down. It's
got to stop.
It's got to stop. Like, what? I mean, I speak as somebody who's not great at maintaining my car, but it's like expecting your car or your dishwasher to just be constantly beaten up and still perform to its absolute maximum. Like, never clean the dishwasher, never rinse it,
never stop.
Yeah, just exactly. Never stop, never take care of it, never re-clean it, never bother with the filter. And why isn't that dishwasher just running at 100%? Yeah. And that is how we can treat ourselves sometimes. And another sugared donut and another coffee.
It's not going to fix it.
It's not going to fix it.
And this doesn't necessarily mean that you have to down tools and, have a dough massage or a weird oil treatment on your hair and stop for 2 weeks. Like, not all of us can do that. We have family, we have work, we have commitments. There are ways of kind of stopping the madness in terms of the energy expenditure.
I had a day that started client facing at 8:30 and then it just ran. And I really tried to not have those days, but it just, because we're back and, I had various things on. And for one reason or another, I thought I had a little bit more time, but I didn't. I had about 7 minutes gap before I had to get in the car and go somewhere. And I stood in the kitchen and I just said, stop.
Got 7 minutes.
You got 7 minutes now, and you're going to stand here, because sitting is the new smoking. I mean, that's another thing that...
Somebody said that.
Yeah. So that's a whole other conversation. Yeah. So I stood and I just stopped and I breathed for 7 minutes. And that, honestly, was enough. And I'm going to offer better than a donut to take me through the afternoon, because I felt like I'd taken some care. So exactly. I mean, that's, a very quick tip. But what we're interested in is thinking about your energy in 4 dimensions, because even if you are eating all those amazing microbiome gut boosting foods and you're, going to the gym, you've got kind of lovely muscle tone, all of that. But if you're burnt out, overwhelmed, stressed, you've got anxiety or people are annoying you, your thoughts are racing, away, you can't control them, which we're not in control of our thoughts anyway, a whole other conversation. But if everything is kind of operating at a level where actually your energy is just being drained all the time, then you can think about your energy resourcing in 4 dimensions. So physically, through your body, through your nervous system, through your breath, you can think about how you energize physically. Muscles, how much tension we hold that is using energy in just everyday moments, the way that we're sitting or holding ourselves. So we can start to think about physically, what is de-energizing you physically that you may not even be aware of yet, and what energizes you physically. And if you immediately go to, well, I know I should probably do a 5K run, that would energize me. Not necessarily. Yeah. Actually, it might be some slow breathing. Yeah. There's loads being talked about at the moment about somatic exercises, isn't there? Which is much nearer a kind of yin yoga, which is those much smaller exercises like Feldenkrais that you feel like you're almost doing nothing, but you're working at the fascia level. So we need to rethink what we mean by movement and exercise.
Well, also, you were talking about, a while ago, we were having a chat about going outside for 5 minutes in the morning and just breathing in air and let the sun
100%
touch your skin and soak into your eyes, so to speak, because that is literally changing your body chemistry energetically.
That 100%. If you get out into natural light first thing in the morning, which I now always do, get the dog or dogs when I'm looking after yours out, and in fact time it. So I was up before it was light, so I did some other things, and as soon as it was light, I was out. 10 minutes, if you can breathe in that sky, your cortisol levels kick in the morning, which is exactly what needs to happen to give you energy for the day. What you don't want is your cortisol kicking in at night and then you can't sleep. So all of these kind of body rhythms, we can really hack them. We can really manage them. Himalayan salt in water in the morning and get out and breathe in that sunshine. You're going to deal with your cortisol level. You're going to get your kickstart for the day.
Might not have to run 10K in the morning.
Or eat a donut. Much better way of doing it. So anyway, so think physically what drains you and what might energize you. And that might be stopping, it might not be doing. Emotionally, what is draining you emotionally?
I'm going to say,
and what's boosting you?
I'm going to say something on this, which really struck me, and I'm sure you noticed it. So when we were doing our yoga, when we were away on holiday with the magical yoga lady.
Yeah, Dr. Harshana, thank you.
When she said at the end of the session, kind of closing off, she said, close your eyes at the end and namaste or whatever she said.
Yeah.
And then she said, open your eyes with a smile on your face.
Yes, she did.
And I thought it was such a simple instruction that I've never heard another yoga teacher saying, but I'm sure it wasn't inadvertent. She was using that that gesture, that physicality to reset your emotions. Yeah. And it was quite hard to come out of that feeling anything but quite happy and positive.
Yeah. Which takes me back to one of my favourite phrases for 2023, which is nobody wakes up laughing. But you can
make a choice.
You can make a choice and put a smile on your face. So you can take charge of your emotions. They're like weather. It will keep moving through. Get curious about them and see what you can do to shift them. Because sometimes you can control the weather. And the other thing, of course, that will stick into the emotional is the relational. Who drains you emotionally in relationship and who boosts you? Like, it's such a simple one, isn't it? But, we need to take control of it, set boundaries. Intellectually, I love this one because this is a big one for me. What's draining you intellectually? The way that your mind just keeps going over lists or to do or suddenly thinking about a thing you should be doing while you're doing another thing, that kind of multitasking brain that you can't possibly do those two. You can't
do 3 things at the same time.
You can't, exactly. You can't go to the shops and, book your dental appointment and walk the dog. There might all be things you've got to do, but your brain is multitasking all the time. So it's quite exhausting. So what is depleting you intellectually? But also, of course, what is energizing you intellectually? Like, what is it that you read or engage with that actually leaves you feeling, I love learning. I love learning. Yeah. And that can be really... It can inject a lot of energy. And I don't think we often think about that. But if you're burnt out, you might read a poem or read a piece of information or research or a story. I mean, Auntie Poldy, let's start there.
Love
just
it.
It's so energising, so much fun. We've just read the Rosie books, haven't we? The Rosie Project, the Rosie Effect and the Rosie Result. Really energising, great stories, really fun. So think about that. And also, where do your thoughts go? Do they go to the positive, or do they go to appreciation or gratitude? And then finally, intentionally. And this is a big one that's come up for me a lot with my clinical psychotherapeutic work, is people who are still in a profession or doing something that they kind of started when they were younger or graduating or leaving school. Maybe there wasn't necessarily a lot of thought, or they're in a different stage in their life. We fall into things. And then you get praised for being good at it. You work harder and harder. You're on the treadmill. And then you suddenly hit a certain age. And the gap between how you feel inside and what you are pushing to show to the world, that masking is absolutely exhausting. And I'm also hearing from people who are managing problems with integrity when they're having to do things or being asked to do things that just do not sit with a part of themselves that is not being allowed to be voiced.
And I would use the frog in the water analogy here.
That's
in that we can be doing these things, and incrementally we are taking on more work, or just moving into different areas, and we don't really. There's no one point where we become exhausted, overwhelmed, de-energized. It's just very, very gradual. It's like putting a frog into cold water and boiling it, rather than putting a frog directly into boiling water, is the analogy. I think that this can happen to us, particularly when we're in careers that we started when we were very young. So it can be quite difficult to kind of wake up to the fact that there might be something in terms of the choices we've made in our professional life that are de-energizing us. It's not always easy to spot.
I think that, for me, that feels really, really important around energy, that we can really normalise.
Yeah. And think everyone else behaves like this. Everyone else feels like this.
This is just what it is. This is what it is to live and work, is that you have to kind of pull yourself up by the bootstrap every day, push hard, grit your teeth, get through so you can get home and sit on the sofa and watch Netflix and take a few hours before you've got to do it all over again. And you're right. I think there can be that normalising of that, as if that's it.
Yeah. That's what everyone does.
That's what everyone does, and there is no choice. Yeah. So that's a really good one to catch, that if our energy is depleted and there's a gap between, when we've got that push energy going on because another part of us just hasn't got any left, that is happening for a reason. That isn't just how everybody lives. That is something's happening there, and something isn't integrated and connected in terms of what you care about.
And not to say that lots and lots of people with responsibilities they have, the pressures they have, there is an enormous drain on their energy, and there are perhaps limited choices in terms of what they can do. We always talk about what is the gap and what is the choice that you have.
Yeah.
There's usually something. Yeah. It may not be that you can completely transform your life if you're feeling very de-energized, distressed, whatever it might be. There's usually some wiggle room somewhere in one of the dimensions of your life.
Absolutely. And also those patterns that, I think I see this one a lot, that you can meet, and maybe there's some resonance to myself, that you can meet people who are highly independent, highly driven, and not always very good at leaning in and asking for help. So when things get tough and they're in overwhelm, it doesn't even feel like it's not even that it doesn't feel like an option. It's not even on the menu to go and ask people for help. So there's also those blind spots that keep us stuck in an energy depletion, because we've learned from a young age, if we think about it kind of psychologically, we've learned that that's what makes us lovable and valuable.
Keep going.
To keep going. Exactly. Oh, you're so strong. You're so strong. So that makes it really difficult, because our identity becomes wrapped up with the person who can just keep going.
Yeah.
And when the energy goes, that feels like there's something, like, it's not even that there's just something wrong with me. It's that my value's gone as a human being, sort of thing. This can't happen to me. That's not me. I am not someone who. Yeah. So think about your energy in 4 dimensions. Think about that last one, intention, about purpose, what you care about. What did you used to love doing when you were younger?
Well, do you know, and I've said this before, I remember 15 years ago when I first had a coach, one of her first questions to me, what do you love? What makes you really happy? I said, well, what I'm really good at is, and she asked me the question again, and I responded in the same way. And I'm very fortunate. I had some different choices that I could make in life, although I was finding life tough at the time. The fact that my answer to that question was exactly as you said before.
Yeah.
You just get really good at stuff.
Yeah.
That's your value.
Yeah.
You keep going. And she asked me what makes me happy, what I love.
Yeah, very different.
Not something I had necessarily reflected on.
Yeah.
And that really ties into our energy in terms of
100%.
going back to that flow piece. When you're feeling something that's meaningful, that you love, that really sort of inspires you and drives you, it's likely, even though it's effortful, it's possibly a replenisher of your energy rather than a drain of your energy.
And, I know I've definitely had moments, I wonder if any listeners can relate to this. I mean, certainly in movies, you get those moments where you hear from people who are, very tired or depleted, but suddenly they can lift a car because one of their loved ones is underneath it. And that's true. Like that actually happens. The body's amazing. And I've had that where I've been depleted and a friend has called and suddenly
you find something
needed me, and back it was like someone waved a wand. My energy was just back and I was there for them. But when I was just on my own at that point, my energy wasn't there. So when we're connected to intention and purpose and what we care about, it's like this weird magic happens in terms of our intentional energy. So absolutely, it's not even like going the extra mile and pushing. It's like it taps into something really deep for us. Yeah. So what we're going to leave you with in this kind of general intro to putting the 4D fizz back into 2024 is start to think about, yes, your nutrition, all of those wonderful things and your lovely exercise routine. Think about your energy in 4 dimensions. Physically, what pluses, what minuses, emotionally the same, intellectually, kind of what really does it for you intellectually, and then intentionally, where are you personally and professionally with what you care about, your purpose and your passion. And we wish you a really good, if you need it, a really good reboot, some really good energy for 2024. Energy is everything. Think about your energy span and guard it as it's far more precious than gold or diamonds. Your energy is everything.
It's true. We're going to talk a lot more about this in 2024.
Yeah.
Thank you so much for listening to this episode of the 4D Human Being podcast. We hope you enjoyed the show.
Do take on board some of the insights, tools and tips, because every time that you try something new to get back to choice, you are making a vote for the you that you want to become. And I love that phrase, Pen.
I do too. And please do share this episode with somebody that you know would really benefit from the lessons and learnings we've been chatting about today.
And of course, if you're interested in more from 4D Human Being, do get in touch. We run workshops, trainings, online, in person, conference events and keynotes. We've got the 4D On Demand platform for your whole organisation. And we do have a free Essentials membership where anybody can sign up for absolutely free to access some of our insights, tools and tips. So do get in touch with us if you'd like to hear more. We cannot wait to hear from you and to carry on the conversation.